guys? My name is Brandon, and welcome back to Audio Addiction, where you can find the latest album reviews, you can find our band interviews, and you can find a live video of the concerts that we get. For end of February, first week of March is approaching very shortly, and we're going to have a lot of awesome stuff planned for that. So if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, make sure to hit that like button as well. I know I've been away for a little bit. I was actually sick pretty much this entire week. So just not been feeling too great, and this is the best day that I've been feeling. So, I obviously wanted to get that out and do album reviews and stuff like that. So, definitely check this one out, and we have a lot more coming out this weekend, hopefully, and just a lot of different genres and variety. So hopefully you'll find something that you do like, and if you do enough, please hit that subscribe. It seriously means a lot, and thank you guys for the 40K views. Literally, my mind's about to explode. It's kind of crazy. 50,000 is like not even that far away, so that blows my mind. So thank you guys so much for that. But I'm getting away from myself. Tonight we're going to be talking about Strawberry Girl's new record, Italian Ghost. So this is actually not a new record. I think it's a reimagined version of their first EP, Italian Ghost. They just redid it with, obviously they've had a few records under their belt now, and they wanted to kind of redo this one. And they're also working on new material, but they wanted to kind of satisfy that hunger for new Strawberry Girls material. If you haven't heard of them, they're on Tragic Hero. I want to give a quick shout out to Kathleen. She's awesome over at Tragic Heroes. Thank you guys so much for letting me review it. Sorry, it's kind of almost a day late now, but I've been sick, so I couldn't have done it earlier. But check this out. It's definitely one of those bands that I've had on my radar for some time, and I've been a fan for a long time. I've just, for some reason, passed Oak Cross, and I'm not able to see them. But hopefully next time when they tour around the Philly area, I will definitely try to make my way out as best as I can to go see these guys, because they just put on a ridiculous show for being an instrumental band. And typically, I'm not a fan of instrumental music. I mean, I do like a lot of instrumental bands, but I feel like, instrumental bands have that sort of essence that a vocalist kind of fills the need for. So, obviously that's something that I gravitate towards, but, I do really like instrumental now. I'm starting to really get that flavor for instrumental music and stuff like that. So, Strawberry Girls is definitely on my list, and there's tons of other bands that do instrumental work that I could recommend. Covet is another one, and just, Polyphia, Jason Richardson, Intervals. There's a ton of bands, Animals as Leaders, that do awesome instrumental work, and I think that they kind of take the whole idea of the vocalist out, and they kind of take it back to the roots of music, which is the instruments. So it's really cool to see that. But obviously, besides my tangent, we're gonna get into the first track, which is called Black Knight Gold Circus. I would definitely say this is an awesome opener track. It's definitely one of my favorites off the record, without a doubt. I've always really liked Zach's guitar usage, just how he's been in not only Strawberry Girls, but also, if you didn't know, he was also in Dance Gavin Dance earlier on. And obviously a lot of that inspiration he took with him when he left Dance Gavin Dance. Not saying they're bad, I'm just saying a lot of the influence of him was taken out of it. But you can definitely tell a lot of the earlier on DGD stuff is still very vibrant with Zach. I always loved his usage of guitar effects like pedals, just crazy shit. It's honestly blows my mind like how creative he is just with that alone. Not like with an 8-string, not with a 7-string guitar, just like a 6-string guitar with like crazy, effects and stuff like that. So I think, to me, that's something that is awesome, just being a guitar player and just playing with just a 6-string guitar, and he can make so many cool, unique sounds out of that. So that's awesome. I also like their combination of like ambient and experimental things that they have in their music, I definitely feel like that is, again, along with Dance Gavin Dance, is kind of that overall theme of Strawberry Girls, is that they use that sort of ambience and experimentalness to their advantage. And I think it's definitely always creates something unique, and I would definitely not get confused. Would not confuse another Strawberry Girls track with another Strawberry Girls track, or any other band for that matter, just because it is so, in my opinion, so unique to them. So that's something that I love about this band. I really like that, while a song is an instrumental track, or just this album is an instrumental album, I really feel like it keeps the listeners engaged to the whole album. It's like I said, if you're really an instrument fan, if you're really a guitar player, if you're a drum player, if you're a bass player, I feel like you're going to get a lot more out of it. But even if you're a vocalist, I feel like you still can get some things out of it that you wouldn't typically get from, like, any other band. So I would highly recommend checking it out for that reason alone. I really like that this track is kind of almost a sonic explosion, from just guitars to bass to drums. They just kill it right out the gate. It's just like a punch in your face almost. And I think just groove wise, they've always really nailed that, in my opinion. And it's just something that you can just vibe out to and just get really into it. So in my opinion, I think they really picked an awesome track to open it up. So we'll move into the track number 2, which is Vanilla Rainforest. This was actually the first single that they released, obviously via Tragic Hero. I really think this intro is probably wild, amongst other things. They obviously know how to add that whole theatric theme to it. So, that's obviously something that I picked out, and something that obviously you guys will pick out as well. But just keeping with the whole theme of just odd guitar effects, very ambient, experimental sort of stuff, they're really, that's obviously something that they had a flavor for in these tracks. I think the track has a great pace to it, and each member is in sync with each other, and I think that's a lot because they are a three-piece band. I think that has a lot to do with it, and not a vocalist. I think they are very more in tune to each other and how they play and how they interact with each other. So that's definitely something to point out. I feel like musically they cover anything from funk, jazz, rock, post-hardcore, you name it, they pretty much got it. And I would definitely say Zach is definitely one of, I wouldn't say he's necessarily an influential guitar player to me, but he's definitely amongst my favorite guitar players, just because he is so creative with, just a 6-string guitar. And I think just me being a guitar player myself, it's something that I can go back to and listen and get really, inspired by and stuff like that. So that's awesome. And I still think the track feels very in tune, because it's, even if it doesn't have vocals, I feel like it's still very coherent, very methodical, very thought out, just where they place certain layers, if they add more layers to it, if they die down a little bit and make it a little bit more reserved. I definitely enjoy that play between them, and I think it also has to do with, again, how well they play well with each other and how in sync they are, and that's something to definitely notice as well. And I think you definitely pick up some of the subtle nuances of each of the instruments when it's not the vocals at the forefront. So I definitely enjoy instrumental music for that reason alone, just to kind of enjoy music for what it is and just the essence of that. So we'll move on to track number 3, which is Thank God. This one is another one of my favorites. It features Nick Newsham and Kathleen Delano. I hope I pronunciated that right. Nick Newsham Newsham, I was right. I think he's from Gadsby's American Dream, and I know he's done a few features on their records previously, and I think he's a very talented vocalist, like definitely one of my favorites as well. So I always love seeing Nick on a track. I do definitely appreciate when they add vocals, and I think that also, again, adds to the allure of this band, is that they're very talented making music that is instrumental and by themselves, like again in like Vanilla Rainforest, but they also pair very well with vocalists as well. So I like when they do that. I feel like it almost adds a almost super group-esque feel to it, because again, the vocalists aren't a part of the band, but they are adding their gift, their talent to the overall song in general. So I definitely enjoy that. Like I said, I've always really endeared Nick's singing, just his voice and just his vocals on this track in particular. I really enjoyed it. I also like that Kathleen, while she didn't have necessarily, I would say, any vocal parts, I just liked her vocal runs. It felt very soulfully, very R&B-esque, and it definitely was awesome. Just that alone was one of my favorites, and I also like the sort of piano, the synths, the overall like feeling of the whole track. It really got me, and it's definitely one of my favorites, like I mentioned before. We'll move on to track number 4, which is Welcome to the Woods. This is kind of an interlude to the next track, which I will be talking about in a minute. I think it's a really cool interlude. I love when bands do that. I feel like it kind of adds more atmosphere to the whole album in general. And then I think the whole point of an interlude, I feel like it leads very well into the next track. So with that being said, we'll move on to the next one. Alright, so we'll move on to track number 5. Like I mentioned, Little House in the Big Woods, and this track features Big B-Rolla, or Big Rolla. I'm not entirely sure, but I know it's definitely Rolla. But this has more of a straightforward feel to it. It definitely is, like I said, this album is for multiple genre heads. I think, again, I don't think you could put a specific genre for Strawberry Girls. I think they cover pretty much everything from, like I mentioned, funk, jazz, R&B, soul, all that stuff. Just a culmination of all that. So, this track it feels like almost an outlier in a sense, but again, still part of that whole Strawberry Girls family. I really like the additional layering in this track. I think that obviously shows great song work and arrangement. Obviously, like I mentioned, they have been doing a lot of albums, or they have done a few Mana albums, so they obviously know how to do it. And I know Ben on the side does bands too, so he's very familiar with how that works too, because I'm almost positive he recorded this album, which sounds great, by the way. But I like how each of them get their own little time in this track. I think I always love when bands, like, kind of separate the instruments in parts and stuff like that. I think that's, again, another great song structure thing. And I think B. Rollo was a great usage of his guest spot. Not saying that the others weren't. I just really liked this one the most. I felt like he fit very well into this track, and I think the ending in this track was really awesome as well. So if you're looking for more of a straightforward track, I would definitely go with this one. So we'll move it on to track number 6, which is Step Into the Light, and this features Joey Lancaster and Kathleen Delano. This one's absolutely one of my favorites. If you are no stranger to audio addiction, Joey did an interview with me a little while back now, probably almost a year now, but I love that dude. He kills it. Joey, if you're watching this, you kill it, buddy, every time. Really loved his voice. This is actually how I found out about Joey, so it's kind of like full circle almost. But again, speaking about Joey, I think he straight kills it. I feel like he's one of the most underrated vocalists. He's just got this smoothness to him, like almost like butter, and I've really endeared his vocals. If you haven't checked out his band, go check out Belly Noir. Definitely go give them a spin, because they definitely write awesome stuff. But I really like the group vocals in the I think it was in the chorus or the bridge, I'm not entirely sure, but I like how it has almost like a gospel hip-hoppy sort of church feeling to it. That's definitely cool, and something that I don't typically hear too much of, so it was something cool to pick out. And I just felt like the overall feel of this track, while it being short, just hits off very well. So really enjoyed that one. I think it kind of leads very well into the next track, which is track number 7, South America Sun. This one is another one of my favorite. I think Ben is a really underrated drummer. I think he definitely shines a lot in this track. I know being a three piece, it's very easy to kind of be out of bounds, but I think again with them playing so well with each other, I think that it just works very well. And I always like the play between him and Zach. I think they just have just that connection together. I mean, I think the whole band in general has a very tight connection, but I definitely like those moments where it's Ben and Zach, or Zach and their bass player, or the bass player and Ben. I think those moments are the things that I like the most when I pick out a Strawberry Girls track. Definitely grooves for days, without a doubt. I got this feeling in the bridge, and somebody can comment, especially if you are in Strawberry Girls, that'd be awesome. It almost sounded like Careless Whisper in the bridge. I'm not saying anything, but I felt like it sounded like Careless Whisper. That was something that I picked out. I don't know if it was kind of a nod to him, but that was definitely kind of a cool thing. I like that Zach plays the guitar almost as if it's like a lead vocal line, and just the arrangement of how he does things and how they all put tracks together. I think that really obviously is kind of at the forefront of that. So, but they all pair very well together. So I think that in commonality with how Zach kind of plays like a vocalist, I think that just makes that perfect like match, and that's why I think this band instrumentally is much different than a lot of other bands, and why I probably enjoy these guys a lot more than any of the other bands, just because they have this sort of pull to them. Um, and then I like that this one has more of a Latin flair. I always was a big fan and a big proponent of kind of Latin infused tracks. I'm a very big fan of Pierce the Veil. I like when they infuse that Latin sort of flair into their music. So that was something that I picked out, and something that I enjoy always listening to. So we'll move on to track number 8, which is The Hate of Loving You, and this one features Mark Banks. I think, again, a lot of times when I think of Strawberry Girls, I love the features. I think that's what draws me, but also at the end of the day, just the instrumentation and just a thought also helps. But I think the two together combined just makes that awesome pair. So that's definitely something I pick out. I feel like the bass is really smooth in this track. I like that the bass is taking the lead in this track. Like I mentioned a million times, I like how they play off of each other, how they arrange tracks, how they, collectively think of how things should work and how things should be arranged and things of that nature. So I really enjoyed that. I know that felt like a tongue twister. It was almost like a tongue twister. But I really like the production and layering. I think it's crazy good. Again, I think Ben's kind of killing it on this, and I like that they again, I like listening to the old Italian Ghost and then listening to the new one and being like, wow, they really just kind of took it to the next level. So I really like that. And then I also like that Mark, the feature, I like that he has kind of this soulfulness to this track. I think a lot of the artists that they pick has this sort of soulfulness and R&B feel to it. So I really think they play off that sound very well too. So I feel like the match is kind of a match made in heaven as well. So we'll move it on to track number 9, which is Been That Done There. I almost messed that up because I'm like OCD as hell, so that almost freaked me out, but I read it right. Definitely a favorite track of mine. It's got this real great funk feel to it. I think it's something that I really endear about this band, is that they add that funk element to it. I always love like a really good funk band, or like a post-hardcore band that incorporates funk. That's something that I really, really love. I think this track has just a wild beat to it, and I just love it. Again, it's something that just gets me about this track. It almost feels like kind of a borderline like slow metal funk track. I don't even know if that would even work, but that's what it feels like to me, and that's what I picked out. I also like the xylophone. I know that it is not used as often as it should, but I like that they went out of their comfort zone and they just added a xylophone, melody line in there. I think that's something cool and something to definitely point out. And then this track just sonically sounds really huge, and again, I think they really stepped up the production on this without a doubt, and I think they kind of nailed it out of the park. So we'll move it into the last track of the record, which is number 10, Shadow of the Moon. This one features Sarah Glass, Jenna Forner, and Kathleen Delano. Again, she features a lot on these tracks, which is awesome. I think she's an awesome vocalist. If you're watching, Kathleen, it'd be awesome to have you on. But outside of me making, slights, getting back to the track, I'm absolutely in love with all the layering, the production value. I think I've said that a lot, but I also feel like it's something to notice and something to point out in comparison to the old Italian Ghost. It's something to get acquainted to and stuff like that. I think they definitely went all out in this track and just this album in general, without a doubt. I like that the first vocalist has she adds almost like a very delicateness to the track, and just the other vocalists, they also add this sort of like visceral, like sonic experience to it. So like I typically I don't like when there's a lot of vocalists on a track, but I feel like just in this way it works very well. So I really enjoyed that. Like I said, 3 vocalists typically is really tough for me to really nail down, but I really enjoyed it a lot. I like that this track kind of got a little bit darker towards the end, and I'm excited maybe future material might have a little bit of that feeling towards it. But that was something really interesting that I didn't really hear a lot of from Dan, either when Zach was in Dance Gavin Dance or Strawberry Girl. So that was definitely something cool and something to like think about and stuff. And I think it was an awesome way to end almost like a roller coaster effect of a record. I think these guys definitely know how to arrange a record without a doubt, and I think they, like I mentioned, I think they definitely stepped up to the production on this album without a doubt, and it felt like a real visceral experience because there's no vocals, or there aren't too many vocals. It really plays into you listening to, all the instruments and little nuances of the whole album. So that's something that I could definitely pinpoint and tell you guys to check out. So my overall pros and cons of this record is that I had some reservations about it, but they were immediately dismantled as soon as I put the album in my ear holes. I think that this type of instrumental music I can jam all the time because there's just something about it that just gets me excited to either pick up the guitar or write new music, and I think at the end of the day that's the whole point of music in general. So props to Strawberry Girls for making a rockin' album, or reimagining a rockin' album. But I really think they did an awesome job. I'm really excited for future material. I really liked their last record as well. So if you haven't checked these guys out, definitely go give them a listen. I really don't have any cons unless you're not an instrumental fan, which I know there aren't too many. I know there are a lot of people who either are not really a fan of instrumental music, but to be quite honest, I'm not truly the biggest fan of instrumental music, but this album was really excellent. I think that the more, especially if you're a instrument player like guitar, bass, drums, I think anybody who listens to this record can get something out of it. So I would definitely check it out. It's definitely worth picking up. First week sales mean a lot to bands, so definitely go give them a spin if you can. Go pick it up. I'm sure they would certainly appreciate it. And yeah, they're working on new material, so I'm really excited for that. So my overall rating for this record, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I definitely think it's up there in my favorites for this year. It's going to be a real tough year to pick. These first couple months have been out the gate, so I'm excited definitely for this year. 2017 is really shaping up to be a good year for music. So if you enjoy what I do, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also make sure to hit that like button. Let me know if you've heard of Strawberry Girls. What's your thoughts on their kind of reimagined version of Italian Ghost? And yeah, definitely let me know in the comments. I would certainly love to know what you guys think of it. And that's pretty much it. If you really enjoy us, definitely go pick up a shirt. I make sure to leave a link the description of every one of our videos. If you could pick something up, that would certainly mean the world to me and Audio Addiction. Thank you guys so much for your support. We're hoping to do some really awesome things in the upcoming months. So if you haven't been in tune, definitely go hit that subscribe button. It would mean the world to me. So thank you guys so much. Hopefully you liked my review, and if you didn't, that's cool too. No worries. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So we'll be talking with you soon. Peace. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Of course, if you enjoy what we do, make sure to go check out the other series we do. We do album reviews, we do band interviews, and we do live videos, so definitely go check that out. Hit that subscribe button. It really helps our channel, helps us grow. Make sure to hit that like button as well. Go follow us on social media. That's all down below. We try to keep that as updated as possible. We also made a new website where we'll be posting photos of upcoming concerts and stuff like that, which you can go check out at audioaddictionmedia.com and come get your fix with us, guys. Talk to you later. Deuces.